And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this exciting segment today on the 5th day of July 2022. And what a day, a record-breaking cold. It is going, we are going through this cold wave right now. Well, all those people talking about global warming, where are you? This is not warming. Even out of Switzerland and many other areas, we have received reports of extreme cold this year. Well, so there we are. Right now, here in Brisbane, it is 10 degrees and cloudy. So right here up where we are is 10 degrees, but it's predicted to go up to 11 and remain cloudy throughout the day with scattered rain. So that's the weather update for today. Right now, let's go on to the news for today, and we'll also have the daily India report, while wild weather hitting Sydney.
The flood crisis has continued overnight with more evacuation orders issued here in northwest of Sydney, but also in the southwest of Sydney. Lots of focus on the Georges and Warrenora rivers this morning. Their levels are rising along with the Hawkesbury and Nepean rivers. It is getting very serious evacuation warnings, evacuation orders issued for low-lying areas along those rivers as well. We have seen that dramatic rescue operation for the cargo vessel off the coast, and in fact in breaking news overnight, because so many people have been affected, the federal government has activated its federal disaster emergency payments. 23 local government areas, residents in those are eligible for those payments. The river levels are rising here at the Hawkesbury River behind me, Lisa. We are on the Windsor Road. The Windsor Bridge is just up the road here, but of course, as you can see, police at this roadblock are turning away people. There is a small traffic jam forming of people trying to get in, but understandably police blocking off the road as this flood crisis sadly escalates.
Good morning to you, Michael. I was looking at pictures you were filming yesterday of that steady, relentless rain. Has that what it's been like throughout?
It hasn't stopped raining, Lisa, since I got here late yesterday afternoon. There were hopes from the Weather Bureau overnight that the rain would start to ease, if not this morning, but at some stage today. That would be welcome news, but of course the land is still so saturated. Those river levels are still rising, and as we are seeing, as we mentioned at the top, we're not just talking now about the Hawkesbury River, the Nepean River, but the Warrenora and Georges River. So many houses, so many suburbs built in and around those areas southwest of me in Sydney, and that is a key flashpoint this morning.
So many new evacuations over the last 24 hours as well, Michael. The river where you are there at Windsor is now higher than we were predicting this time yesterday. Can you tell me, how are people feeling there, people you've been talking to on the ground?
They are over it, quite simply, and we've seen no shortage of residents understandably frustrated, saddened, angry by yet another flood. For many residents, 4 in 18 months. For many residents, 3 this year alone, particularly in and around Windsor. There are people evacuating their homes. Evacuation centres are still accepting people from Windsor, from Wiseman's Ferry, from North Richmond, where there are also evacuation warnings in place. But help is being offered. As we mentioned, that disaster recovery payments, those payments have been activated by the federal government. Very welcome news. They're coming down the track, but not soon enough for these people in this area who are just suffering yet another flood catastrophe.
It's good to have you on the ground there, Michael. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Nate's got some warnings now for everyone.
I certainly do, because they are still widespread this morning. Let's get straight into the maps, because this area has changed in the last 12 hours or so, shifting a little bit northward. Sydney still under warning conditions, though, for the damaging winds, that heavy rainfall that's leading to flash flooding, and of course the riverine rises as well. There's also a continuation of the dangerous surf off the coast, because those winds have continued, and this rain isn't going anywhere today. In fact, it'll be slowly shifting northwards through the day. Still big falls to come potentially, and we're keeping an eye on this system even further afield as well, even in the north of Queensland. Lisa, this is a wild situation, and one that we'll be monitoring very closely right through the show.
Do we have to go and have a look at anyone else? There's a whole heap of people down there.
Awaiting tasking.
Sort of on the island. Hey, boys.
So there were some of the clips there from the affected areas, and as you can see, it is quite severe. And of course, there are people who are still driving through those. There are some people who just like to get across and cross, not knowing that many times that very decision could cost them their lives as well. Good thing about lives, the aged care facilities where 45 people died of COVID has been charged. Here's that report.
Another chapter in a long-running quest to get answers.
We felt that our mother was robbed of her life.
Spiros Vasilakis' mother Maria died after contracting COVID-19 at St Basils. After an almost 2-year investigation, WorkSafe has alleged the aged care facility failed to implement the use of personal protective equipment after one staff member tested positive in July 2020. 94 workers then contracted the virus and at least 45 residents died.
My mother had more years left in her. It was just total incompetence that led to my mother's death.
St Basils is accused of 9 breaches of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, including failing to provide and maintain a safe working environment and failing to supply necessary information, instruction and supervision in the use of personal protective equipment. The provider faces more than $13 million in fines.
This facility, we've wanted to be charged. They need to be held accountable.
Despite those charges, families still face a long wait for answers. A coronial inquest into the deadly outbreak has been put on hold, with 2 of St Basil's managers refusing to give evidence, arguing they risk self-incrimination. A Supreme Court judge has reserved his ruling on whether the pair should take the stand, while WorkSafe's case will be heard in the Melbourne Magistrates Court next month. Leanne Wong, ABC News, Melbourne.
Well, it is not good news, is it? 45 people dead, and those very, very hefty fines coming up for them. Well, there's so many questions there. People who are, were in there for their last years of their life, thinking and hoping that they have, where they have come to would be a safe environment, but it was not. Well, right now, a giant youth tournament kicks off in Canberra.
An exciting start to a highly anticipated event. After 2 years of COVID-19 cancellations, these young football players are finally able to take the field and get back to doing what they love.
I was pretty disappointed when it got postponed last year, but I'm so excited to be back out and playing.
It's very intimidating, but it's also very exciting, and I think it's a really good chance for everyone to grow as a player and to just really get out there and give it your best go.
It has been a difficult event to organise. COVID-19 is still rampant in the community and a flood disaster is affecting much of the New South Wales coastline, making travel difficult for some. But its clear efforts to ensure the event can continue are much appreciated.
It's just good as a social element of it too. Like, they've had a lot of restrictions placed upon them, some of them for 2 years, with the restrictions that have been put in place for various reasons.
It's a welcome economic boost for the region, not only off the back of a slow 2 years
years during COVID-19 lockdowns, but also during one of the quietest times of the year. Organisers estimate the event will bring around $2 million to the Canberra economy, with most accommodation operating at 100% capacity.
It brings a lot of money to the town in terms of hotels, and not just that, but it enables people from interstate to have a look at all of the great stuff we've got around Canberra.
A chance to help the region recover and a glimpse of normality as sporting events return. Jessica Clifford, ABC News, Canberra.
And that's one very good news. Of course, we'd like to see more news like that, where things start getting back to normal, people coming out, boosting the economy, and everyone out in the fields playing what they do best. Well, right now, Neville Bonner retrieves a boomerang from a tree at Parliament House.
Before he finally gained his place after the resignation of Dame Annabel Rankin in 1971, he was a bridge carpenter. When Bonner, on his arrival in Canberra, threw a boomerang around the grounds of Parliament House, it all seemed somewhat of a novelty. But then, as now, Bonner took his Aboriginality very seriously. Born under a tree and brought up in a humpy in Tweed Heads, Senator Bonner received no formal education. As a child, he was taunted by whites for being black, and even as a senator, refused drinks in numerous country hotels.
I support land rights, of course I have.
But as a politician too, he's been seen as a rebel. He's never been a minister. He wanted Aboriginal affairs, but then he accused Malcolm Fraser of running a military-style government. And he has been a persistent campaigner for Aboriginal rights.
So it's always good to get some of those retro trips and the retro vision, sometimes getting, those clips and the very old footage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and much more on India and the Indian diaspora. India's Tejas aircraft has emerged as a top choice for Malaysia's fighter jet program. India's military might and production is growing. Indigenously developed Tejas light combat aircraft has emerged as a top choice for Malaysia, as the Southeast Asian nation looks at replacing its aging fleet of fighter jets. The two sides are holding negotiations to take forward the procurement process. Malaysia has narrowed down on Indian aircraft notwithstanding stiff competition from China's JF-17 jet, South Korea's FA-50 and Russia's MiG-35 as well as Yak-130 plane. As part of the package, India has offered to set up an MRO maintenance, repair and overhaul facility in Malaysia for Malaysia's Russian-origin Su-30 fighter fleet. Malaysia is facing difficulties in procuring spares for the aircraft from Russia due to Western sanctions against Moscow. The top executive of the state-run aerospace company said if the deal is sealed, then it will give a very good signal to other prospective aircraft buyers and boost its overall export potential. It is learned that Chinese JF-17 was cheaper but could not match the technical parameters of Tejas MKIA variant and the offer of maintenance of Su-30 fleet as proposed by India. Sri Lanka gives 5-year visas to Indian business leaders to promote investment. Sri Lankan Minister for Investment Promotion and billionaire Thamika Pereira handed 5-year visas to Indian business leaders to promote investment in the island nation. Taking to Twitter, Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka said, Honourable Minister Thamika Pereira handing over 5-year visas to Indian business leaders in Sri Lanka. This is a welcome step in enhancing the ease of business and promoting investments in Sri Lanka. Indian High Commissioner to Colombo, Gopal Bagle, met Lankan Trade Minister and discussed diverse facets of the trade. High Commissioner met Minister for Trade Honourable Nalin Fernando today. They discussed diverse facets of bilateral trade such as increasing trade volume, creating platforms to facilitate business linkages between India and Sri Lanka. The Indian Embassy in Sri Lanka tweeted, India has sent assistance worth several billion US dollars to rescue the money-strapped Sri Lankan government, accompanied by shiploads of humanitarian aid, cooking gas, large quantities of fuel and medicinal supplies. India has gifted 75 ambulances and 17 school buses to Nepal. India on 3rd July gifted 75 ambulances and 17 school buses to Nepal as part of its ongoing efforts to build on the robust and long-standing partnership between the two countries and help the Himalayan nation bolster its infrastructure in healthcare and education sectors. India's newly appointed ambassador Naveen Srivastava handed over the vehicle's keys in the presence of Devendra Paudel, Nepal's Minister of Education, Science and Technology. The gifting of 75 ambulances also marks 75 years of India's independence, the Indian Embassy in Nepal said. The gifting of ambulances and school buses is part of the very robust and strong development partnership between the two countries, said Ambassador Srivastava. This initiative has been one of the long-standing traditions of the Indian government under the Nepal-India Development Partnership Program to bolster efforts of Nepal government to strengthen its infrastructure in health and education, he added. The 75 ambulances and 17 school buses will be handed over to various governmental departments and NGOs working in healthcare and education sector in various districts in Nepal. A possible terror strike on Amarnath Yatra has been averted as local villagers helped catch 2 armed terrorists. In a successful operation, Indian security forces and Jammu and Kashmir police with the help of local people on July 3rd arrested 2 most wanted terrorists from the Royasi district of Jammu region. This averted a possible major strike on Amarnath Yatra. The 2, Talib Hussain of Rajouri and Faisal Ahmad Dar of Pulwama, were associated with the terror outfit Lashkar-e-Taiba and were wanted for various terror incidents in Rajouri and South Kashmir. They were carrying 2 AR rifles, 7 grenades, a pistol and huge quantities of ammunition. These 2 terrorists have been on the run for the past several days. Feeling the pressure from the security forces, they had taken shelter in Taksin Dhak area of Riasi. As the local people identified them, they caught the duo and informed the police and the army, who subsequently arrested them. Talib Hussain had carried out 3 IED blasts in Rajouri earlier this year, besides civilian killings and grenade blasts. Hussain is believed to be the mastermind of Amarnath Yatra attack plan. Besides, 2 associates of Hussain were arrested last week with a large number of arms and ammunition. Indian Army rebuilds bridges overnight to clear route for Amarnath pilgrims. 2 bridges were repaired overnight in Jammu and Kashmir by the Indian Army's Chinar Corps to clear routes for the pilgrims amid the Amarnath Yatra. The damage to the bridges located near Brahrimag on the Baltal axis was caused due to landslides. The Chinar Corps of the Indian Army has been assisting the civil administration for security of pilgrims and the smooth conduct of the Amarnath Yatra. The landslides were reported to be triggered by a sudden rise in temperature, resulting in the swelling of streams on the Baltal route. The annual pilgrimage to a 3,880-meter high cave shrine of Lord Shiva located in Himalayas began on June 30th. The pandemic had led to disruptions over the last 2 years. A video shared by Indian Army showed the military taking part in the reconstruction exercise on rocky terrain. The video transitions to show the heavy flow of water on both sides of the bridge. The civil administration had urged Chinar Corps to restore the destroyed bridges. The flood situation in northeastern state of Assam is improving, but over 18.35 lakh people remain affected and 5 more deaths have been reported. Assam's flood situation improved on 3rd July. The number of affected people declined to over 1.835 million from previous days 2.217 million, but 5 more people lost their lives due to the deluge. According to the daily bulletin issued by the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, 5 persons drowned at various places in Karimganj, Lakhimpur, Nagaon and Shivasagar districts during the day. The number of casualties due to the flood and landslides this year rose to 179 across the state. More than 18,35,500 people are still affected due to flood across 23 districts. India reports 16,135 new cases and 24 deaths in the last 24 hours. India reported 16,135 new COVID-19 cases on July 4th, slightly up from the 16,103 infections logged on July 3rd and 24 deaths, according to the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The active cases now stand at 1,13,864 and 5,25,223 deaths have been recorded across the country till date. Delhi state reported 648 new COVID-19 cases and 5 related deaths. The positivity rate stands at 4.29%. Meanwhile, Mumbai city recorded 761 fresh COVID-19 cases. The Ministry of Health on July 2nd released data on India's cumulative vaccine coverage. According to it, more than 8 lakh vaccine doses were administered on July 2nd, 2022. The report stated India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 197.94 crores as of July 2nd. More than 8 lakh vaccine doses have been administered till 7 p.m. The daily vaccination tally is expected to increase further. At least 42 are reported dead in a massive landslide in the northeastern state of Manipur in India. The death toll of the massive landslide at a railway construction site in Manipur's None district rose to 42 after 8 more bodies were recovered from the debris on the 4th day of the search operation for survivors on July 3rd. The landslide also hit 107 territorial army camps of the Indian Army deployed in the area for the protection of the railway construction work. As the landslide area covers about a kilometre stretch, the search operation may take a few more days. Meanwhile, State Chief Minister N. Biren Singh visited the Army Hospital at the Inspector General Assam Rifles headquarters near Imphal and extended a sum of 50,000 to each of the injured Jawans and wished them a speedy recovery. Earlier, he had announced a compensation of Rs 5 lakh to the next of the kin of those deceased and 50,000 to those injured. Karnataka State's Sini Shetty is crowned Femina Miss India World 2022. Sini Shetty from Karnataka State was on July 3rd announced the winner of the Femina Miss India World 2022 title at the grand finale of the VLCC Femina Miss India. At the ceremony hosted at the Geo World Convention Centre, Rajasthan's Rubal Shekhawat emerged as the Femina Miss India 2022 first runner-up, and Shenata Chauhan from Uttar Pradesh was named Femina Miss India 2022 second runner-up. Actors Neha Dhupia, Dino Moria and Malaika Arora, designers Rohit Gandhi and Rahul Khanna, choreographer Shamak Tawar and former cricketer Mithali Raj were part of the jury panel for the evening. The much-awaited trailer of Coffee with Karan Season 7 is out now. The trailer of the famous Bollywood producer-director Karan Johar's popular chat show Coffee with Karan 7 was released on 2nd July evening. The show will air on Disney Plus Hotstar. The trailer, as expected, is full of fun conversations, candid chats. One moment, however, that eclipses everything else in the trailer has to be this hilarious input from Samantha Ruth Prabhu. In a segment of the trailer, the Family Man 2 star tells show's host Karan Johar, "You're the reason for unhappy marriages. You have portrayed life to be K3G, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. In fact, the reality is KGF." That's all in today's bulletin.
And thank you very much, Anubhuti, for that the update. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now, before we finish up for the segment today, let's take a quick look at functions and events taking place right here in Brisbane. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have for you in this segment today. And it's been wonderful having your company here on this very cold Brisbane morning. Well, it's crept up by 1 degree. We started off with 10. We're now on 11 degrees. And it's looking very, very cloudy out the window here. And, of course, it is raining. It's a drizzle at the moment. But, scattered rains, cloudy, and, record-breaking cold temperatures here in Brisbane. So, rug up, stay warm. And make sure you are protected if you're getting out and about because of the weather. Until tomorrow is goodbye from us. Don't forget that tomorrow we'll have the 2 segments, the news segment and of course the real estate update with Usu Chandra of GlobeNet Realty. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from us.